All right. So, y'all, it's been a couple days since I've done a stream. Feeling like shit. Throat hurts. I don't think it's COVID. It's not COVID. I've been working my butt off from home. Haven't been going into work. We've seen like a huge spike in this school district. Like one school has like 6 cases now. It's fucking insane. So I've just been working from home. But yeah. Today we have a good game. Today we have the Chargers versus my motherfucking Las Vegas Raiders. No, for real. Sorry. You guys know I'm a Raider fan. I like them Raiders. They super got their ass whooped against the Colts. So pretty much for the Raiders to have any shot this year to make the playoffs, they have to win out. So highly doubt it. And I'm, is it bad to say that I kind of hope we don't make it? I think if we make it, our defense is going to get fucking shit on. And we're going to look horrible and it become a laughingstock once again. And yeah. But I guess, I always want them to win. I always want them to do well. But here we are. So today we're going to talk about the game. I really like this game. Of course I do. I think the Chargers are fucking a great team to have in this game too. I think there's going to be some points scored tonight. I think it's going to be a good one. So let's talk about it. Right now the Chargers are have an implied total of 24.75. And the Raiders have an implied total of 27.75. So right now the Raiders are favorites. Now the main reason for that, or there's a couple reasons for that. Number one, the Chargers are banged up. Mike Williams has already been declared out. Keenan Allen, I'm gonna guess is most likely gonna be inactive. But according to B reporters, they're saying that if Keenan Allen does play, most likely will be limited. Now, I'm kind of praying that Keenan Allen doesn't play for the sake of being a Raider fan. But I'm going to guess that the Chargers are going to really push for him to play today because they need him to play. They need him to do well today, and they need to win just as bad as the Raiders do. So let's talk about the Chargers first. I decided to change my little process up again. We're just going to focus team by team, and I'll go to position by position. I'm not going to go as in-depth as I've done before since it's done pretty early, and I still have some more classes to teach. So we're just going to go down the list fairly briefly. So first of all, it's Chargers. Talk about the running backs. Austin Eckler. So we have, again, no Mike Williams and possibly a limited Keenan Allen. So we're going to have Austin Eckler, who is already getting tons of targets in the backfield. He's not going to give you 20 carries. He's never been a 20 carry guy. I can see 16 to 18 carries. I can see that. I think they're really, really, really going to need him today. What really makes him, obviously you guys know Austin Eckler is a great play today. You don't need me to tell you that. But what really makes him stand out to me is the targets that he's been receiving since he came back from the IR. Last 3 games since he's been back, he's had 16 targets, 9 targets, and 9 targets. So he's consistently getting fed almost more than some, wide receiver wants. So I really do think that continues today with the banged up wide receivers for the Chargers. And I think Austin Eckler is a no-brainer and a play in all formats. I definitely think he's a cash lock, and I absolutely love him in tournaments. He will bring some ownership in tournaments, which is fine. But again, love Austin Eckler today. I'm not going to think twice about it. Most likely be super heavy on him and just call it a day. I think if Keenan Allen does play, I'll probably lower my ownership just a tad because I think when we get to Keenan Allen, I think regardless if he's going to be limited, I think he is a sneaky tournament play. We'll talk about that in a minute. Okay, so the backup running backs for the Chargers are Ballard and Justin Jackson. Justin Jackson is back. I think both are just strictly MMB dart throws. I know some people like to play lineups if injury does take place, which is fine. I think you can do that in 150 max. But I think if you're running like 20 or less, there's really no point of going to either of these guys. But if you do want some exposure to one, I most likely lean Justin Jackson. I can't talk. Justin Jackson. Briefly, Bailey, basically because his ceiling to me is higher than Ballard. So again, I really don't see myself going there. I don't play 150 max. I probably do about 20 max entry with some cash lineups where I make most of my bread. So yeah. So those two would just be MME only. Okay. Let's talk about the Raiders pass D. 21st in DVOA, 25th in yards allowed per pass. As a Rated fan, I will tell you straight up, we suck. Defense is a joke. They just filed. I can't fucking talk. They just fired the defense coordinator. It's been a long time coming. Could that change things up tonight? I fucking hope so. But if not, the Raiders are going to get smashed on again, regardless of who the wide receivers are out there, regardless if Keenan Allen plays or not. The defense is just shit. So as of right now, we know that Mike Williams is out. We also know right now if Keenan Allen does play, he's most likely going to be limited. But this is where I think I get a little risky, right? It's kind of like when the Rams played, who they just go against? Can't remember. Cam Akers, right? Everyone's like, oh, can't trust Sean McVay, Cam Akers. And I mean, Cam Akers and the running backs in that game were in a prime spot. They were in a great spot. But nobody really wanted to go Cam because they just didn't know how many snaps that man was actually going to get, right? They had no idea. But he ended up getting like all the fucking snaps and all the fucking carries and doing all the fucking scoring. And if you didn't have him in the captain spot, good luck taking down a GPP. Unfortunately, that day I had a very minimal captain spot, Cam Akers, which I regretted immediately. So the point I'm trying to make is I think if Keenan Allen does play today with the news that he probably is limited, I think he makes like an excellent GPP captain play. And I know that's nuts to say. I'm really interested to see what his ownership will be if he does play. But again, if beat reporters are definitely telling the truth and he's going to be limited, he's absolutely risky. But I think that's what makes him an excellent tournament captain, because I think people will see the risky report and go, oh shit, no thanks. But not me. I will probably just be fucking heavy on him and pray to God he at least gets me a Keenan Allen day. It is possible. His ceiling is through the roof. But again, we need to make sure that we're paying attention to Twitter and the beat reporters and seeing what they're saying about him. I'll probably watch him and practice and see how he's doing on the field, and see how he's looking and what people are saying. So as of right now, if he does play, I think he's a great tournament option. I definitely wouldn't play him in cash just because of the unknown. But I think in tournaments, he would make a stellar play. But I totally get it. If you want to fade him because you don't want to deal with the risky report, that's fine. Just know that he could literally win you a GPP if he's low owned. And it's a possibility that he is. In this prime matchup, come on, guys. So that's kind of how I feel about Keenan Allen. But it's kind of difficult. Like, you're going to have to make a decision. Do you want Keenan Allen, Justin Herbert, and Carr, or do you want to fade a quarterback and get Keenan Allen, Justin Herbert, and Eckler, which is fine, which I think is great. So this depends on your roster construction. So do like Keenan Allen in tournaments. We need to make sure that he is playing. And if he is, make sure you have him, some exposure in your tournaments and some exposure in your captain spots. Definitely like him in tournaments. Okay. With Mike Williams out, we're going to see some Tyron Johnson. Tyron Johnson looked great last week when Mike Williams fucking got hurt, the first drive of the game. Tyron Johnson ended the day with, 7 catches and 1 touchdown. Looked great. Looked awesome. Going to carry quite a bit of ownership today. And for a good reason. I mean, Justin Herbert's got to throw the ball to somebody. And he looked great. And Justin Herbert seemed to look at him often. I will say Mike Williams was in a smash spot last week. So it was kind of like they throwing another wide receiver in the same smash spot. So obviously I think if Mike Williams was healthy last week, he was going to smash. But Tyron Johnson ended up getting the volume that Mike Williams is going to get, and he looked fantastic. Tyron Johnson is in another great spot today. Has another great matchup against this fucking awful Raiders. Who's he going to go against? He's going to go against Lawson, another guy who just, I don't know what he's out there doing. I don't know. It's like the Raiders sign all these corners who were decent at one point, and then they come to the Raiders and they're just poop. They don't know how to defend. So I do like Tyron Johnson today. I think he's great in cash too, especially if Mike Williams is definitely out, which he is, and especially if Keenan Allen ends up being limited or out. If Keenan Allen is out, you just lock him in. You don't think twice about it. You need to lock him in. I think you would lock him in with Austin Eckler and not think twice about it. So we need to make sure that we follow Keenan Allen news and make sure that he's definitely out. If he is out, Tyron Johnson should be a lock. Should not even think twice about it. Just lock him in all your lineups. I will eat the chalk in that situation. Yeah. Nick got to talk about Jalen Dunton. I'm hearing a lot of chatter about him, a lot, and I get it. I understand it. Most likely going to be the wide receiver 3 today. Now, there's a lot of pros and cons with Dunton. Okay, Dunton is a deep threat. You can definitely kill the Raiders on deep balls, so it's definitely a possibility that Dunton could get 2 or 3 catches for 80 yards and a touchdown. It's definitely possible. But am I excited about the play? I don't think so. He's only reached 10 DK points twice this year, and he's not getting targets. But again, I think that makes him still a valuable play in tournaments. But I think I would probably just try to go Johnson. I think he's showing us a higher ceiling already. But I think that regardless, if Jalen Dunton ends up still being, the starter, the wide receiver 3 starter, like I think he will be, he should be. I think he's fighting cash because he's just so cheap, right? He's just a cheap guy. In a game that should be back and forth. I think he's fine in all formats. Again, I think I would pick Tyron Johnson over him if I was going to go that route and just eat the chalk a little bit. But I think Dunton's fine in all formats. I just prefer Tyron Johnson over him. Now, the next guy I want to talk about is tight end, which nobody seems to be talking about him today. Everyone's focused on the wide receivers, which I get. But Hunter Henry is fucking cheap. He's under 6K. He's getting 7 to 8 targets a game. The only issues that he's having is that he's not scoring touchdowns. He has 3 touchdowns on the year, and he has not surpassed 15 DK points this season. Now, that could change. He definitely doesn't have a great matchup against Nick Kwiatkowski. I can't say his last name. I fucking suck at saying names. The guy that the Raiders got from the Bears, one of the best defenders against the position. And I've always liked him. I think he was a Pro Bowler last year. He's still really good. Just hasn't been healthy. But I think in GPPs, you can go Hunter Henry and even sneaky in captain spot. If we're talking about no Mike Williams, limited or possibly out Keenan Allen, in a game that's going to be back and forth, I would highly think that Hunter Henry is going to get us 7 to 8 targets easy, 60 plus yards, and I'm going to bank on a tub. I think we get a touchdown number 4 today. So I love Hunter Henry in tournaments. I think he's going to be low owned. Nobody's talking about him so far. I know it's still early in the day. So I love Hunter Henry. So if I was going to talk about how I would rank my Charger plays, obviously Austin Eckler, number 1 play. No doubt about it, Austin Eckler. The Raiders are fucking shit against the run. They're 32nd in DVOA. They can't stop the run. Austin Eckler does it on the ground and through the air. They are road dog. He's going to get his passes. I just don't think you get stupid with this and fade him. I love Austin Eckler today. Clearly the number 1 play on the Chargers, hands down. Number 2, I would probably go Keenan Allen just because I'm a risk taker. If he does play, I think I like him in tournaments a lot. I definitely would play him in cash. Definitely one of my favorite tournament plays. So I'm kind of just hoping that he does play. If he's limited, we're fucked. But I don't think I would go super over the field on him just in case it does happen. But I do want some captain exposure and definitely some flex exposure as well. I do like Keenan Allen quite a bit. So we have Eckler, Keenan Allen, Tyron Johnson, number 3. Yeah, he's going to be chalk. And yeah, people are going to be like, he came out of nowhere. I get it. But again, he's getting plugged into another smash spot in a game where they're dogs. He's going to get his targets. So I do like Tyron Johnson as well. And then Jalen Dunton, obviously my last favorite play. Again, I don't love his ceiling, but he can definitely get there at his price. And I think he firmly is in play in all formats, especially cash. I think he'd be great in cash. Yeah. So, and then Justin Herbert. If you heard my conversation about how bad the Raiders are on defense, you just play Justin Herbert. There's no reason why I don't talk about quarterbacks because I think they're pretty self-explanatory. Justin Herbert can easily get there today. Love him in all formats. I would definitely have him locked in with Carr and cash. And and definitely be heavy on him in GPPs as well. He just got the high ceiling. And I think he even makes a great captain play because we're very uncertain where the targets are going to go. I mean, we all know Austin Eckler is going to get fed. But the rest of the targets are going to be kind of up in the air, and Keenan Allen is definitely out. So I do like him as a captain play as well. So it's going to be a good game, guys. It's going to be a real good game. All right. Talk about the Raiders. Raiders are coming off an ass whooping. Straight up ass whooping. Phillip Rivers just handle business, right? Just shit all over the Raiders. As much as I hate Phillip Rivers, I lived in San Diego for like 10 years and when he was on the Chargers, and all my friends knew I was a Raider fan, and it was just a disgusting thing to hear them talk about him all the time. But Rivers came and he just handled business, and he shit on them, and they looked bad, and they fired the defensive coordinator, and that type of thing. So don't think twice about it. Really just don't. All right. Okay, Raiders. Chargers run deep. They are 31st in DVOA and 21st in yards per carry. Not very good. Can't stop the run. There's pretty much almost as bad as the Raiders stopping the run. So I think you definitely do attack them on the ground. We do have some question marks with Josh Jacobs' health. Josh Jacobs played on Sunday. He was trolling the owners. I had people text me like, Frank, do I play Josh Jacobs? What do I fucking do? What do I do? But Josh Jacobs ended up playing. I don't understand why he got a fucking boner off that and making trolling fantasy football fans. Kind of like Kenyon Drake. If you look at his Twitter account, fuck up, dude. I can't imagine playing fantasy. Well, I can't imagine being so fucking awful at football. Just being so shit that fantasy owners talk shit to you. That's why you can't imagine that. Sorry, I had to say that. I just don't understand why football players say that. We're allowed to be pissed off. It doesn't matter to you. I get it. You're a millionaire. Just ignore us. So anyways, Josh Jacobs, I think you're a bitch for that. Straight up. I think you're a bitch for that. Don't. If I had Josh Jacobs and I was in the playoffs with him, I'd be upset. Anyways, Josh Jacobs ended up playing 43% of the snaps. He wasn't going to play because they wasn't sure that he was 100% healthy. But he did play 43% of the snaps, which is still pretty low. But I think game script had a lot to do with that. The Raiders were down by 20-plus points. And you started seeing a lot of work from Jalen Richard, who plays a lot in the passing game. And even Devin Booker was getting some work as well. Devontae Booker was getting some work as well. Regardless, I think Josh Jacobs today should definitely see a boost in his workload. I could see the Raiders really pounding the ball. I could see them really trying to keep the ball out of Justin Herbert's hands. So I think Josh Jacobs makes a stellar tournament play. The only reason why I probably wouldn't touch him in cash because there's still some uncertainty on the snap percentage. Is he 100% healthy? That type of thing. So I don't think I would play him in cash, but I think in tournaments he makes a stellar play in captain and flex. And I definitely will have some exposure to him in tournaments. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. Let's talk about the other running backs. Devontae Booker. Devontae Booker is more involved on the ground. He'll probably get you, anywhere from 4 to 5 carries. But even in those 4 to 5 carries, he's able to bust out some long gainage. I don't think I'm going to have any. Again, if you're kind of feeling the same way about Austin Eckler, and you're like, you know what, I'm just going to play the backup just in case injury does happen, it could win you a GPP. It absolutely could. Do I highly recommend you doing this type of, leverage type plays in a 20 max? It depends on your risk, how risky you want to go. But I think in 150 max, you definitely need exposure to backup running backs. I don't think you should think twice about that. So Devontae Booker is in play. If you believe that Josh Jacobs just isn't 100%, or Josh Jacobs is just going to play like shit, or if he's going to re-aggravate his injury, whatever you think, I think that's why you would play Devontae Booker. Obviously, I wouldn't play them in the same lineup because it kind of defeats the purpose, so make sure you do that. Again, deep MME play, 150 max is what I would probably do. If you want to do it in the 20s, sure. It just depends on your risk tolerance. But, Devontae Booker is fine, I guess. And then you have Jalen Richard. He does most of his work through the air, still a really low ceiling. Definitely won't go there either. I mean, if he gets 3 to 4 targets, cool. But is that going to take down a GPP? If he scores, sure. But I don't think he's going to score. I don't see that happening. So MME dart throw only with Jalen Richard. So, yeah. All right, let's talk about the wide receivers. Chargers pass defense is actually pretty decent. They're 17th in DVOA and 7th in yards per pass. They're pretty decent. They have decent corners. They're not awful. They suck on the ground, but they're not awful in the air. Right now, for the Raiders, Henry Ruggs is out. Guys, Henry Ruggs. I know that I'm a Raider fan, and I know I've said this multiple times, but as I was sitting there watching the Raiders draft, CeeDee Lamb was there. Justin Jefferson was there. The Raiders fucking picked Henry Ruggs, who was already like struggling with injuries in college. And what is he doing now? Struggling with injuries in the NFL? Fucking mind-blowing. Sometimes I wonder, like Mayock is a genius. He's very smart. But this was risky. Like, why would you do that? CeeDee Lamb is dope. Justin Jefferson might be the steal of the century. I don't understand it. But anyways, Henry Ruggs is out with COVID. I don't even know if it's a positive test or negative test. Who knows anymore with the NFL? Poor Des Bryant, you know what I mean? But Henry Ruggs is out. So we're going to see either Zay Jones or we're going to see Bryan Edwards start at wide receiver 3, which we'll talk about when we get there. But I think this Henry Ruggs out opens up some more volume for the GOAT himself, Hunter Renfro. Hunter Renfro today has the best matchup wide receiver-wise on the Raiders. The best matchup. He is under 5K. The last 2 games, he's averaged 5+ targets. We're talking about a game that's going to be back and forth. He has a pretty decent ceiling. I fucking love Hunter Renfro. And honestly, I think I want a little bit of exposure in tournaments. Yeah, it could be shit. You could end up with, 5 catches for 60 yards, which is not helpful as a captain play. But I think that's totally fine in the flex position. And if he scores, you need him. You needed him. So I love Hunter Renfro today. I'm really curious to see the ownership on him. I love Hunter Renfro. Love him a lot. I think he's a great spot today. The next wide receiver we'll talk about is Nelson Aguilar. Now, a lot of people don't know this or don't remember. But the Raiders signed Nelson Aguilar for 1 year, $1 million. And now Nelson Aguilar literally is like what? 3rd or 4th in NFL in touchdowns scored, wide receiver wise. That's fucking nuts. That's nuts. Doesn't that make Mayock look so fucking smart? Doesn't it? I have a friend who's a diehard Eagles fan, and he is livid. Just not happy. He hated him so much at Philadelphia. It was shit. He dropped everything. But now he's just balling. So Nelson Aguilar is only $7,400, and he's a wide receiver 1, so that price is already too low. The matchup isn't the greatest, but we're talking about a wide receiver who should get heavy volume again, 7 to 8 targets. He's a deep ball threat, can easily score. How do you not love someone with that upside at that price? I really like Nelson Aguilar today as well, quite a bit. And honestly, I'm going to create different combos with my stacks. I'm going to have Carr with Aguilar and Renfro, and then I'll probably have like Carr with Renfro and Waller and kind of just mix them around and see which one sticks. But one of those is going to hit. And I'm really hoping it's the Renfro because I think Renfro could easily take down a GPP today. I really like Renfro a lot, as you can tell. So love Nelson, purely based off price and volume. Love it. And I like Hunter Renfro because he is in a smash spot and he's super cheap. Super cheap. Yeah. All right. So with Henry Ruggs out, you have Bryan Edwards and Zay Jones. Bryan Edwards has already been getting more work on the field. Early in the year, he was just banged up, just couldn't stay on the field. Raiders really weren't pushing him to play. But at his price today, at $400, and most likely starting as a wide receiver 3, it's hard not to like him. His floor is scary. Very scary. I mean, he could end up with 1 to 2 catches for 20 yards, which is not helpful. But I mean, I'm willing to take a chance on someone at that price because if he gets me 5 catches for 60 yards, that could be optimal. It really could be. So Bryan Edwards is kind of like 50-50 for me. I don't want to say he's totally not okay for cash. I don't want to say that because I could see myself having interest there. But if, I think if I was not willing to take a risk, which I really don't want to in cash, I think he's only a tournament play. But, if you want to get on the big dogs in there, I don't think he's awful in cash. Like if you wanted to get Herbert, Eckler, Aguilar, Waller, all those guys in the same lineup, you're going to need to punch somewhere. And I think Edwards is fine for that. I think he's great for that. And he's cheaper than the wide receivers on the Chargers, so probably lower owned as well. So, yeah. Or, if you don't want to go Bryan Edwards, you can go Zay Jones. He's cool. He's $800, a little more expensive, still very cheap. But again, I think the Raiders are really going to push Bryan Edwards to get some work today. He is the wide receiver of the future for them, future wide receiver 3. So I do think that he'll get some work today over Zay Jones. But I think, again, if you're running 150 max, having a little bit of exposure to Edwards and Zay Jones wouldn't be stupid. I obviously prefer Bryan Edwards over Zay Jones. So, yeah. So, wide receivers for the Raiders, I think, are pretty straightforward. Hunter Renfro, Aguilar. Love both. Really do like both. All right. Let's talk about the best player on the Raiders. Now, before I get started, I just want to make sure that, you guys fully understand the Darren Waller story. Because some people don't. Darren Waller, what is he like? The top 3 tight end in football? Top 2? Yeah, I would say top 3. I think some people are going to say Kelsey and Kittle, which is fine. I think Kelsey definitely is the best tight end in football purely based on the rings, even though I think he's a bitch. But yeah, Darren Waller, top 3 tight end. Had a 200-yard game 2 weeks ago. Darren Waller, recovering drug addict, went through it all. And ended up on the practice squad for the Ravens, and Mayock and Gruden had a game against him and noticed him play. And after the game is over, it was like, hey, can we buy him from you? And they did. And they bought Darren Waller from the Ravens, and now look at him. Could you imagine if the Ravens had Mark Andrews and Darren Waller? What a fucking combo that would be for Lamar. That would be legit. But anyways, purely steal of the century, in my opinion, for Darren Waller. Man, Darren Waller. So, Darren Waller is in a great spot tonight as well. Obviously, I look at him as the wide receiver 1 on the team, even though he is the tight end. He gets all the work, all the red zone targets. It's going to be heavy chalk today. Who fucking cares? The Chargers do struggle against containing the position. They struggle against tight ends. I do think they will probably focus on him a lot today. But, the red zone targets are there, Waller. He's a decent price. I love Darren Waller today as well. And I would definitely have him in my stacks with Carr, with Aguilar, Renfro, like I said, Renfro, Waller, whatever you want to do. I think Waller is another no-brainer, kind of like Austin Eckler, but I think I would prefer Austin Eckler over Waller purely based on game script and game theory. But still, love Darren Waller today. No doubt about it. And then you have Jason Witten, who always catches those random touchdowns. Again, probably don't see myself going there. Extreme dart throw, MME play only. But if you're feeling risky and you want to fade Darren Waller from Witten, do it. It's your money, not mine. But yeah, I don't see myself going there. Okay. All right, so let's talk about my plays. My cast pool is literally the same every week. I'm gonna go with both quarterbacks. Today will be Austin Eckler. I think both kickers are fine. You could go Tyron Johnson, right? Same thing. Waller, Aguilar. If you want to be risky with Keenan Allen, get some Keenan Allen there. If they, beat writers come out and say that Keenan Allen's going to play a heavy amount of snaps again, don't think twice about it. And I think if you needed a cast punt, I don't think Booker's a bad idea, especially if the Raiders are in the lead. Booker will get 5 to 6 carries, not a problem. So I think Booker is fine for cash as well. So again, my cash pool was QBs, kickers, Austin Eckler, Tyron Johnson, Keenan Allen, Darren Waller, Aguilar, Booker if you feel like it. So those would be my cast play. That's my cast plays. And for tournaments, my captain plays. Austin Eckler, Tyron Johnson, Aguilar, Waller, Hunter Henry. I think both QBs are captain valuable too. And I also will definitely have even a smidge percentage, maybe 10, 15% Hunter Renfro in the captain spot and just see what I can get with him now, with the discount. So, yeah. So anyways, that's my breakdown for the game. Pretty simple game, in my opinion. Pretty simple to break down. I'm really excited about it. Yeah. I am also doing NBA content today for the DFS headquarters. We have been fucking smashing. We have been literally going insane, making a lot of fucking money as of late. Big 7-game slate today. It's going to be a headache, but we got to find an edge. We're going to make some money tonight. So if you have any questions about NBA or NFL, please don't hesitate to reach out to me on Twitter. My Twitter thing's on the bottom, Vigo07, or just help me on the Slack. Other than that, hope you guys make some money tonight.